My name is Mary, and ever since I was a little girl, my brother Nathan and I never got along very well. We had completely different personalities. He was cold and always seemed to prefer being alone. I constantly felt alienated by him. Nathan was brilliant. He excelled in both his studies and sports. However, he was distant towards me and rarely showed emotion, especially when it came to family. On the other hand, I cherished the bond with my family and valued spending time with my parents above all else. Our parents were sometimes baffled by the differences between Nathan and me, but they still loved us equally. Even as adults, our relationship remained distant and unimproved. Nathan immersed himself in his work, while I got married and built a happy home with my husband James and our 4-year-old daughter Emma. Later on, Nathan also married a woman named Kelly. Family gatherings are unavoidable, and this time, we were set to visit Nathan's house after a long time. "Are you sure you want to go?" James asked me from the driver's seat, his voice tinged with concern. "Yes, I'm going. Emma's been looking forward to it, and family relationships are important," I replied, but deep down, I was filled with anxiety. Emma was singing cheerfully in the back seat, her bright voice echoing through the car, momentarily easing my worries. You see, Emma had an extraordinary gift. From a young age, she could occasionally sense things that others couldn't and see the unseen. I first noticed this when she was just 2 years old. One day, while playing in the garden, Emma suddenly stopped and said, "Mommy, there's someone behind that tree." Surprised, I checked behind the tree but found no one. However, a few days later, an old house key was found in that exact spot. Emma's intuition had been correct. This incident made me certain that Emma had the ability to perceive the invisible. There were other instances where Emma would foresee strange occurrences in our home. For example, she would say, "A light bulb will go out tomorrow," right before it happened, or she would predict when a friend would unexpectedly visit. The car continued towards Nathan's house in a quiet suburb. His house was large and impressive, seemingly a testament to his success. However, there was a certain coldness about it. "Mary, are you okay?" James asked again. "Yes, I'm fine. Thank you, James," I replied with a smile, but it felt awkward. Upon arriving at Nathan's house, he greeted us with a stoic expression. "It's been a while, Mary. Come on in." His voice lacked warmth. "Long time no see, Nathan," I replied, trying my best to smile. James politely greeted him, while Emma looked around the house with great interest. As soon as we entered, Emma ran off to explore the rooms. James and I engaged in formal conversation with Nathan and Kelly, but we couldn't help feeling uneasy. "How have you been lately?" Nathan asked, his face expressionless. "Oh, just keep busy." "Emma's grown so much," I answered, laughing awkwardly. "I see. Kids grow up fast," Nathan nodded briefly. James joined the conversation, asking, "Nathan, how's work?" "Still as busy as ever." "Yes, you could say that. A new project just started, and it's taking up all my time," Nathan replied matter-of-factly. Meanwhile, we caught glimpses of Emma darting from room to room, looking around as if searching for something. Occasionally, she would stop, as if sensing something, and linger in one spot for a while. "Emma, are you okay?" I called out to her, but she simply said, "I'm fine," and continued moving. Kelly seemed to notice Emma's behavior and re-Nathaned. "Emma's quite curious, isn't she?" "Yes, she's always like this, especially in new places," James replied with a smile. "By the way, Nathan, your house is really impressive. Do you always keep it this clean?" I attempted to change the subject. Well, as much as I can," Nathan shrugged. "I don't enjoy cleaning, but I hate clutter too." I noticed Emma standing still in the corner of the living room, staring intently at something. Her expression was dead serious. "Emma, what are you looking at?" I asked, approaching her. "Nothing, Mommy," Emma replied, sounding a bit anxious, but she wouldn't leave the spot. "Okay. If anything's bothering you, please let me know," I gently patted her shoulder. At that moment, James joked, "Nathan, this house must be full of secrets. They say old houses are steeped in history." Nathan didn't smile at the joke and simply replied, "I guess so. This house has its fair share of history." Emma remained in the corner of the living room, fixated on the direction of the kitchen. Concerned, I called out to her again, "Emma, are you sure everything's okay? Is there something there?" Emma shook her head, quietly answering, "No, there's nothing. But something feels weird." Her words sent a chill down my spine for a moment, but I quickly regained my composure and said, "Emma has such a vivid imagination." However, I couldn't ignore her intuition. James brought the conversation back, suggesting, "Nathan, Kelly, how about we have a barbecue together this weekend?" "I'll think about it," Nathan replied, expressionless. As dinner time approached, we sat at the dining table. While we adults continued chatting, Emma seemed to have no appetite and merely picked at her food. "Emma, are you all right?" Kelly asked gently. "I'm okay," Emma answered softly, but her eyes were focused somewhere far away. After dinner, we returned to the living room. James and I grew more worried about Emma's behavior. "Mary, this is the first time I've seen Emma so anxious," James said. "Yes, there might be something going on," I replied. "Let's ask to look around the house a bit more tomorrow." The next morning, we woke up early and decided to investigate the house with Emma. We told Nathan and Kelly that Emma wanted to explore the house, and they agreed. Emma walked around the house with a serious expression, frequently stopping at specific spots. "There might be something over there," Emma pointed towards the kitchen. "Then let's start there," James said. We examined the walls and floor of the kitchen but didn't find anything out of the ordinary. "Emma, do you really sense something?" I asked her. "Yes, but I can't see it," Emma replied, looking puzzled. We continued searching throughout the house but found nothing. "Let's call it a day," James said. "We need to tidy up before Nathan and Kelly wake up." "You're right. We'll look again later," I gently suggested to Emma. Emma bit her lip in frustration but nodded quietly. I'll definitely find it, Mommy. We went out during the day, but as soon as we returned to Nathan's house, Emma started searching again. I'll find it for sure this time, Emma said with a determined expression. We thoroughly searched the house again, double-checking places we might have missed in the morning. Under the living room carpet, the dining room walls, there were no abnormalities anywhere. Emma, let's check that spot one more time, I suggested, going back to the place Emma had first pointed out. Yes, there's definitely something there. Emma went to the kitchen again and pointed behind the refrigerator. James started moving the refrigerator. We all carefully shifted it and examined the wall behind it. Wait, this part is slightly different. James pointed to a section of the wall that had a subtly different color from the rest. We tapped on the wall. Only that part made a hollow sound. This is, I gasped. A hidden door. James carefully pushed a part of the wall, and a small gap appeared. He applied more force and finally discovered the hidden door, which seemed to lead to a basement. We found it. I stared at the door in disbelief. Emma, you were right. James looked at Emma with surprise and admiration. Emma smiled proudly, but her eyes still held anxiety. We have to go see what's in the room below. Yes, let's go. I gripped her hand and started descending the stairs to the basement. As we went down, a dark and cold air hit our faces, sending chills down our spines. However, we continued without fear. Deep in the basement, we saw a boy chained up. We were speechless at the sight of his pitiful state. Oh my God! James muttered. A child in a place like this. Daddy, Mommy, please help him, Emma pleaded. Of course. We'll help him, I answered with determination. We couldn't have imagined at the time that the truth we found in this basement would greatly change our lives. James carefully approached the boy and asked, "Are you okay? What's your name?" However, the boy was too terrified to speak. It's all right, don't be scared. We're here to help you, I spoke gently. Can you tell us your name? The boy nodded slightly and whispered, Jacob, as tears streamed down his face. Jacob, don't worry. Everything will be okay now. James tried to remove the chains, but they were tight and didn't come off easily. We have to do something about these chains, James said. Mary, look for some tools. I scanned the basement and found an old toolbox. Inside was a rusty bolt cutter. Try this, I handed the bolt cutter to James. James carefully used the bolt cutter and managed to cut the chains. Although Jacob was free, his strength had reached its limit. James and I supported Jacob as we lifted him out of the basement. Back on the ground floor, Emma held Jacob's hand and gently told him, everything's okay now. There was still deep fear in Jacob's eyes. We moved to a room in the house to calm him down. James gently asked Jacob, Jacob, where are your parents? Jacob answered, trembling, my parents are gone. My uncle and aunt brought me here. Your uncle and aunt? You mean Nathan and Kelly? I asked, holding my breath. Jacob nodded slightly. Yes. But they threatened me, told me I should never tell anyone that I'm here. James and I exchanged glances, listening to Jacob's story in disbelief. His account revealed a horrifying truth that Nathan and Kelly had been hiding for a long time. Why would they? I said, stunned. Jacob continued, tears streaming down his face. My parents died in an accident. There was talk about insurance money, and my uncle and aunt decided to take me in to get it. James nodded in understanding. Nathan and Kelly took Jacob in to get their hands on the insurance money. And as he grew up, he became a burden, so they locked him in the basement. I can't believe it. I said, my voice trembling. I can't believe they would do something like that. Jacob continued further. Uncle and aunt said that if anyone found me, it would all be over. One chilling truth after another was revealed, and we were filled with fear and anger. James, we have to help Jacob, I said firmly. Of course, Mary. But how? James looked perplexed. Let's call the police. But first, we need to get out of this house safely. I tried to stay calm. Mommy, hurry. Emma said in an urgent voice. We quickly tried to get Jacob out of the house. However, at that moment, Nathan and Kelly came home. They saw us trying to rescue Jacob from the basement and flew into a rage. What the hell are you doing? Nathan shouted. We're getting Jacob out of here. What you've put him through, it's unforgivable. I said firmly. This has nothing to do with you. Nathan yelled and charged towards us. James reacted swiftly, dodging Nathan's attack. Mary, hurry. Take Emma and go to the back door. Got it. I gripped Emma's hand tightly and ran towards the back door. Emma desperately tried to keep up with me, but her small body was trembling. Mommy, I'm scared. Emma said, her voice on the verge of tears. It's okay, Emma. We'll be outside soon, I reassured her. James, carrying Jacob, glanced back. Nathan was chasing after them, anger evident on his face. You won't get away. Nathan shouted. We reached the back door, but there were many objects piled up in front of it, making it difficult to get outside quickly. What do we do? Mary, the window. James pointed out. I rushed to the window and tried to open it. It was stuck tight, but James, who had caught up with us, managed to force it open with all his strength. Emma, you go first. I helped Emma out the window. She gingerly climbed onto the windowsill and made her way outside. Next, we tried to get Jacob out the window, but he was paralyzed with fear. Jacob, it's all right. You have to go too, I gently encouraged him. James lifted Jacob and helped him out the window. Then, James climbed over the window and made it outside. Just as I was about to climb over the window, Nathan caught up to us. You're not getting away. Nathan grabbed my arm. I desperately resisted, trying to shake off Nathan's hand. Let go. We're going to help that child. I used all my strength to break free from Nathan's grip. I managed to climb over the window and jumped outside. We ran through the yard at full speed and made it to the street. We rushed into a nearby house and sought help. Please call the police. The children are in danger. I shouted, gasping for breath. The neighbors immediately called the police, and we were temporarily sheltered in their house. Emma and Jacob were shaking, but being close to us seemed to provide them some comfort. It's okay now, Emma. The police are coming, I hugged her and whispered gently. Jacob, you're safe too, James said to Jacob. You won't have to go through anything scary anymore. The police arrived, and we explained the situation based on Jacob's testimony. The officers quickly realized the gravity of the matter and arrested Nathan and Kelly. They were taken away without resistance, silently. Jacob, you're all right now. You're safe, I hugged Jacob, trying to give him a sense of security. Thank you. Jacob was still uneasy, but he gradually regained his composure. It's over. James and I took a deep breath together. Mary, you did well. James held my hand tightly. From now on, let's do everything we can to protect Jacob and Emma. Yes, let's, I nodded firmly. A few days later, we began preparing for Nathan and Kelly's trial. A lawyer visited our home and carefully reviewed Jacob's testimony. It was clear that his testimony would be key to this trial. Jacob, don't be afraid. Just tell the truth, James said gently. Yes, I know. But I'm a little scared. Jacob replied in a shaky voice. It's okay, Jacob. We're here with you. I held his hand and reassured him. The day of the trial arrived. Many people gathered in the courtroom, and we could feel the growing interest in Nathan and Kelly's actions. Jacob took the witness stand, determination in his eyes. I was locked in the basement and fought fear every day. Jacob began his testimony, his voice trembling but steady. Uncle and Aunt threatened me, saying that if I ever got out, everything would be over. The courtroom fell silent, and Jacob's words echoed one by one. His testimony was deeply engraved in everyone's hearts. They tried to use me to get the insurance money. When my parents died, that insurance money. Jacob continued, tears streaming down his face. As the trial progressed, the gravity of Nathan and Kelly's crimes gradually became apparent. Evidence of the abuse they committed was presented one after another, and the atmosphere in the courtroom grew even heavier. Finally, the judge announced with a stern expression, "Your actions are extremely malicious and a serious crime against society. Therefore, you will be sentenced accordingly." Nathan and Kelly were each sentenced to 20 years in prison. They accepted the verdict in silence, but despair was written on their faces. Outside the courtroom, reporters swarmed, and voices of condemnation against Nathan and Kelly filled the air. They were put into police vehicles without answering any questions from the reporters. When asked, "Why did you do this?" Nathan couldn't utter a single word. His face was a mix of regret and fear. Kelly also faced harsh scrutiny. I just wanted to protect our livelihood, she muttered, but her words evoked no sympathy from anyone. Sent to prison, Nathan and Kelly faced loneliness. Their actions were known to other inmates, and they were viewed harshly within the prison as well. "This is the retribution for your sins," the judge's words continued to echo in their ears. Their house was also sold, and the proceeds were used for Jacob's benefit. Having shattered their family bond, they no longer had a place to return to. Meanwhile, our family formally adopted Jacob, and we started a new life together. Although Jacob still carries emotional scars, he is gradually recovering and regaining his brightness. Emma has become his support, striving to ensure that he can feel at ease. One day, we went to the park. As Jacob played with Emma, he began to show more smiles. "Mommy, it's so much fun playing with Jacob," Emma said happily. "Yes, Emma. Being together as a family is what matters most," I gently stroked her head. Jacob started attending a new school and slowly began making friends. At first, he was nervous, but with Emma by his side, he gradually gained a sense of security. Watching his growth and transformation was a great joy for us as well. After coming home from school, Emma and Jacob did their homework together and then played in the yard. Their laughter echoed throughout the house, warming our hearts. "Jacob, how was your day?" James asked at the dinner table. "It was great. I played with my friends." "It was a lot of fun," Jacob replied with a smile. "That's wonderful," I said, gently touching his cheek. One night, Jacob shared a new dream with us. "When I grow up, I want to be a teacher." "Why do you want to be a teacher?" Emma asked, full of curiosity. "Because teachers teach us many things and help us when we're in trouble," Jacob answered with a serious expression. "I want to be helpful to others too." "That's a wonderful dream, Jacob. I'm sure you'll make an excellent teacher," I hugged him. Jacob smiled happily, and then his face turned a bit more serious as he continued. "Thank you for finding me that day." With tears in my eyes, I replied, "No, thank you. We're happy that you came into our lives." I embraced him. That night, our whole family gathered in the living room to watch a movie. Emma and Jacob were engrossed in the movie characters while happily munching on popcorn. James held my hand tightly, feeling the warmth of our family. "We'll always be together, right?" Emma said with a smile. "Yes, Emma. We'll always be together," I answered, looking at her and Jacob. We welcomed a new beginning and strengthened our resolve to build a future as a family. No matter what difficulties lie ahead, we can overcome them with love and bonds. In this